Okay, so today we're starting the next part where we left from we left from the anther. Na? We're talking about anther. Anther is the swollen tip of the stamen, right? If this is stamen, this was our anther, a bilobe structure, right? Now if you cut that bilobe structure from this angle, if you cut the bilobe structure from this angle and view that anther under the microscope, you'll see a structure something like this. Something like this means only here I have drawn the cells. These cells are also present here, here and here, but because all of them are same, all of them 4 microsporangium, these are called microsporangium, because 4 of them are same, so only I have drawn in this one. Okay, let me draw it further here also. Okay. Here also I have extended a little bit. Now if you see here from the outside, you will be able to see 3 layers of cells or 3 types of cells. On the most outer side, these flat cells, they are known as epidermis. This is the most outer layer. I am numbering it as 1. Okay, this is the most outer layer. We are numbering it as 1, epidermis. After this, you see, after this, these are radially arranged cells. This layer is known as endothelium. Epidermis also has a single layer of cells. Endothelium also has a single layer of cells. So from most outer side, first we have epidermis, next followed by we have endothelium, right? Both of them are single layer, but in case of endothelium, cells are radially arranged. Okay, in case of epidermis, we get to see these flat cells. After this, you see this round shaped cells. Many cells are there, right? Many layers of cells, mostly 1, 2, 3 layers of cells. This is the third layer, that is called as middle layer. So this one is middle layer. Before this we have endothelium. Before this we have our epidermis, right? Next, what layer we are seeing? We are seeing a layer of pyramid shaped cells, right? Here you can see little bit elongated pyramid shaped cells. This layer is called as tapetum. This is the most special layer. Okay, all these layers are functions, but the questions that are asked, mostly they are asked from the function of this layer, tapetum. Okay, because the function of these layers are very minimal. This layer number 1, epidermis, 2, endothelium, 3, middle layer. 1, 2, 3, they help in dihens of anther. Dihens of anther. What does dihens of anther means? Look, here inside the pollen grains will be formed. Now if inside this pollen grains are formed, the pollen grains, they need to come out from the anther. Na? That's how it's gonna reach to the female gametangia. If they do not come out from the inside, how will they come out? How will they reach female gametangia? So all these layers, all these 1, 2, 3 layers, they need to break, right? So that is called dihens of anther. And the 3 layers, they only break. From where they break? They break from here, this part, from this part, from this part, they break. Okay, this is one thing I have drawn. This also I have mentioned last day, that 2 lobes of the anther, this is lobe number 1, this is lobe number 2. 2 lobes of anther are connected by a sterile tissue. This sterile tissue is called as connective, right? In last video we have also mentioned about connective, na? So this is our connective. So 3 layers of cells. From the outside, epidermis, protective layer. After that, endothelium, radially arranged cells. Then middle layer. Three of them function is dihens of anther. Third layer, fourth layer, that is our tapetum. It is the most important layer. It is the most important layer, and it has more of the important functions. Let's see what are the functions of tapetum. Okay, I am going to remove this for a while. Again I will draw this. Okay, again I will draw this. I am removing this for a while, so I can write the functions of tapetum. Okay, tapetum. I have given double star because tapetum is most important. Okay, so function of tapetum. What are the function of tapetum? Function number 1. It is a nutritive layer. It is a nutritive layer. Nutritive layer means it will provide nutrition. Provide nutrition to whom? Provide nutrition. Look, this cells later on they are going to develop pollen grains. So pollen grains, they need nutrition to develop. So that nutrition will be fulfilled by tapetum. So this is for first function, that this is nutritive layer. Second, secretes spelling mistake. Secretes enzymes like callase. Secretes enzymes like callase. Callase is a special enzyme and it is secreted by our this layer which is called as tapetum. Third, what is the function of callase? We will come to the function of callase later on. Just for now, keep this in mind. Thus, callase is secreted by tapetum. Okay. So, callase is secreted by tapetum. Another thing, that sporopollenin is also secreted by tapetum. Sporopollenin is also secreted by tapetum. So, it secretes as sporopollenin. Callase also provides nutrition. All these are function of this layer, tapetum. What is the function of sporopollenin? With sporopollenin, what you will do? Sporopollenin helps to make the most outer layer of the pollen grain, that is exine. So later on you will see that this sporopollenin helps to develop the most outer layer of the pollen grain, that is called as exine. So these are the functions of tapetum. First function, nutritive layer. Second function, secretes enzyme like callase. We come to that. What is the function of callase? Next is secretes sporopollenin. Okay. So these are the functions of our tapetum. Okay. Here we complete. Here what we complete? Here we complete the structure of the structure of male gametangia. Okay, male gametangia. Some more things are left. Let me go over that fast. Now you may ask that, sir, you have told about this layer. What about the cells which are inside? What are they called as? They are called as sporogenous cells. Sporogenous cells. Sporogenous, from the name itself it should be clear. Sporogenous. So it will give rise to the microspore. It will give rise to the microspore. Microspore is nothing but, that is our pollen grain, right? That is our male gamete. So sporogenous, this cell mass is called as sporogenous cell mass. Why sporogenous? Because later on it will give rise to microspore. So these cells are called as sporogenous cells. Later on, after some time, we will start calling it microspore. Okay, let's see what happens in the next video. Okay, so this was our structure of male reproductive organ. Okay, now what we will discuss? We will discuss the process of microsporogenesis, the formation of microspore. Okay, so we are going towards the formation of male gamete. So next we are starting microsporogenesis. Okay, wherever you hear this word genesis, always remember it means formation. Microsporogenesis means the formation of microspore. Okay, how the microspore will form and how we will try to understand it. Look, when the anther is young, all the microsporangium, this we called as microsporangium, no? This structure we called as microsporangium. All the microsporangium, they look like this. Okay. As they get mature, the changes starts to come. Now what we will do? We first, suppose this is our stage 1. Stage 2 will be drawn here. Stage 3 will be drawn here. And stage 4 will be drawn here. Okay. In these 4 stages, we will try to understand how the process of microsporogenesis takes place. Why I am not drawing everything together? Because look, if for stage 1 I have to draw everything. This is in stage 1 now, so every part of the anther looks like this. But I am not drawing, I am drawing only one, and second stage I will draw here, third stage I will draw here, fourth stage I will draw here. Changes are taking all over the anther, but I am keeping one, or I am explaining by mentioning one microsporangium, so that I don't have to draw and remove again and again, draw and remove again and again. Okay, I hope you understand. So now what happens? These cells I will not draw tapetum again. Our only focus will be on these cells, porogenous cells. These cells are now here. Now you may say, sir, here these cells were so tightly packed. Why these cells are so loose? Are they mentioning social distance? Are they maintaining social distance? No, they are not maintaining social distance. Actually what happened is, this anther, the anther that we are drawing, by the time we are going from stage 1 to stage 2, the anther has grown a bit. Now suppose all of you brothers and sisters, you are in a small room. Okay, all of you are tightly packed. Now when your room gets bigger, so you will get more space. That is one thing. Also one more thing, all these cells, if you see, the number of cells has also reduced. All these cells do not come to this stage. Some cells are utilized. Some cells, they die and their mass is absorbed as a nutrition by these cells. Okay, so the number of cell has also reduced, and also what has happened? Also the cell mass, or also the anther has grown a little bit bigger. That's why we are able to see them, or we are able to see that there is a space developed between the cells. Okay, it's the first thing that has happened. Next thing what will happen? Suppose this is one cell. Okay. Another thing, when this has happened, some of the cells are being consumed, the anther has grown a little bit. We start calling it microspore mother cell. Okay, we start calling it microspore mother cell, because later on it is going to give rise to the microspore. So we are now starting calling it microspore mother cell. Also in short we call it as MMC. Okay, now this is our microspore mother cells. This is our microspore mother cell, and obviously this is a diploid cell. We have not talked of any meiosis taking place. So this is a diploid cell. Microspore mother cells, you have to keep in mind, microspore mother cell is a diploid cell. After this what happens? A meiosis takes place. One meiotic division takes place. And we know, as a result of meiotic division, what happens? One cell, from one diploid cell, we get 4 haploid cells, right? In meiosis 1, then meiosis 2, right? That is our meiotic division. No? So we get 4 haploid cells. This we have studied in the chapter cell division. So as a result, how many cells you will get? 4 cells. And these 4 cells will be held together. Now you may ask, sir, you are only drawing 3 cells. What is the 4th one? 4th one is on the behind. Okay, 4th one is on the behind. This is the frontal part you are seeing, 3 cells. 4th one is on the behind. I can also draw them together. 4 cells. So as a result of meiotic division, you are now able to see 4 cells, right? From 1 diploid cell to 4 haploid cells. These 4 cells, you are seeing that these 4 cells, they have not separated from each other, right? They are staying together. This stage is called as tetrad. We are calling them as tetrad. Okay? Because 4 cells are together, they are called as tetrad. And they are held together. They are held together by a substance called callose. They are held together by a substance called callose. Now if you try to remember, in last video we have talked of callase, right? This is callose. Now tapetum will secrete callase, and because of that callase, this callose will dissolve, and these 4 cells, now they will separate from each other. Okay? Now they will separate from each other. So here what stage you are able to see? You are able to see this stage, right? You are able to see this stage. Now how these 4 cells will be arranged, that is also a topic, but that was included in your last year syllabus. This is not included in this year, in your new syllabus. This is one structure, this is one structure. There are many structures there may be. That is also important for NEET, but for board exam, you just keep in mind that this is called as tetrad. There are so many 4 types of tetrad based on how these cells are arranged. Okay, so you don't have to go into all that deep thing. You just keep in mind that this is called as tetrad. Now these cells are in tetrad form. So, tetrad. Okay. After this, what will happen? As I said, the tapetum will secrete callase, and callase will dissolve this thickening, and because this thickening will dissolve, these cells will separate from each other. These cells will start to separate from each other. Okay. I am removing this a bit. Because 4th stage is here now. I am removing this part. Let's see what happens in the next part. You have to keep in mind that our cells are now in this condition. They are haploid and they have formed a tetrad. Now next, what is happening? Because of callose thickening is now broken down. Now each cells are now separated, right? This tetrad is now broken. Now 4 cells, they are now free. Okay. So I will take one cell of them, any one cell we will take, and we will try to understand what happens to this cell. Okay, suppose this is the one cell from here I have taken. Okay. This cell has its nucleus. It has its own plasma membrane. Outside its own plasma membrane, extra layer is formed. This layer, the first layer just outside its plasma membrane, this layer is called as intine. And it is made up of 2 things. There are cellulose and pectin. Okay, this is made up of 2 things. There is cellulose and pectin, first layer, which is called as intine. Outside intine, there is another layer, and this layer is not uniform like pectin. This has some holes in it. This is a rough layer. This is not as uniform as intine. This outer layer is known as exine, and I already told exine will be made up of sporopollenin, right? Sporopollenin, sporopollenin, sporopollenin. And who will secrete sporopollenin? This layer na tapetum. So tapetum secretes sporopollenin, this sporopollenin, right? And that makes exine. Now this structure, now we can call this structure as pollen grain. So at last we have reached up to pollen grain. Now some more changes takes place here. This nucleus of the pollen grain, this haploid nucleus of the pollen grain goes through a mitotic division, mitosis, not meiosis, mitotic division, and two nucleus are formed. Two nucleuses are formed. One nucleus on the above, one nucleus on the downside. Now after this what happens? After this the cytoplasm also divides. And the cytoplasmic division is not equal. Here you can see more cytoplasmic part, here less cytoplasmic part. The cell with more cytoplasmic part, the top one, that is known as vegetative cell. That is known as vegetative cell. Okay. The cell with less cytoplasmic part, that is known as generative cell. This one, this lower one, is known as generative cell. Why vegetative cell and generative cell? Because this generative cell takes part in fertilization. Later on it will take part in fertilization, but this vegetative cell will not take part in fertilization. What it will do? It will form the pollen tube. Pollen tube, we have studied about pollen tube in lower classes also. In class 10 you have studied about pollen tube, right? That pollen tube will be formed from this cell, and because of that this vegetative cell is also known as tube cell. Okay, vegetative cell is also known as tube cell. So let's try to repeat again what happened. First, this cell, that was our microspore mother cell, it goes through one meiotic division. Because of one meiotic division, tetrad is formed. Tetrad is held together by callus. Now callus will come and it will dissolve callus. So from that tetrad, each haploid cell will be now free. One haploid cell we have taken here, and this cell we are now start calling it pollen grain. So this is our pollen grain. In pollen grain, the inner layer, here you can see it is called as intine, made up of cellulose and pectin. One outer layer called as exine, made up of sporopollenin, secreted by this layer which is called as tapetum, right? Inside this cell, what happened? One mitotic division takes place, mitosis takes place, the cell nucleus divides, right? Cell nucleus divides, and because of that division of cell nucleus, we now have two nucleus, right? Then what happens? The cytoplasmic content divides, unequal division, smaller cell and bigger cell. Smaller cell is called as what? What we have written? Generative cell, right? This smaller cell is called as generative cell because it will take part in fertilization. Larger cell called as vegetative cell, also called as tube cell, because later on it will give rise to the pollen tube. Okay, so this is the process of microsporogenesis. Now we have that microspore. Look, this was called as microspore tetrad, right? After that this was called as microspore, and from that microspore now we have pollen grain. So we have seen microsporogenesis, and from microsporogenesis we have also seen how the pollen grain is formed. Both we have seen. Okay, which stage is called as microspore? When we have formed tetrad, and from tetrad just the spores has come out, thus the tetrad has broken. That stage is called as microspore. After that, when exine intine forms, this cell divides. After that we start calling it pollen grain. Okay, after that we start calling it as pollen grain. Now few more important things that we have to discuss about pollen grain. And one thing I forgot to discuss about tapetum layer. The features of tapetum layer we have forgot to discuss. This is our pollen grain. Now few things. Study of pollen grain. Study of pollen grain is called as palynology. Okay, study of pollen grain is called palynology. Pollen grain is also considered as a nutritive substance for human beings. So athletes, babies, they consume pollen grain. Pollen grain is sold in the form of tablet and syrup. Pollen grains are sold in the form of tablet and syrup. Some people, they are also allergic to this pollen grain. Some people, they are also allergic to this pollen grain. Like me, I am allergic to this pollen grain. And the allergic reaction that is formed by pollen grain, that is called as hay fever. Okay, hay fever. These are the few miscellaneous things you have to keep in mind about pollen grain. Okay, so this is pollen grain. Sporopollenin. One more thing about sporopollenin. It is the most resistive organic substance. Okay, sporopollenin is most resistive organic substance. Why? Because this pollen grain is our female gametophyte, right? It will give rise to male gametophyte. So that it needs to be protected. That is the function of sporopollenin, and because it has a protective function, it is the most resistive organic substance known to human being. Okay, it can tolerate temperature, it can tolerate acidity, acidic environment, it can tolerate the basic environment as well. That's why sporopollenin is called as most resistive organic substance. Okay, so let's see the complete picture now. Let's see the complete picture now. After that, one function from tapetum is left. We will discuss that also. So in this stage, what happened? We are able to see some space between the cells, right? And these cells, we started calling it as MC, microspore mother cells. Here what happened? The cells, they went through one mitotic division and they formed tetrad, right? They formed tetrad. So here we are able to see microspore tetrad. After this microspore tetrad, they separated from each other. And they formed our pollen grain. Now we are able to see our pollen grain. So this is the pollen grain that we are seeing. That is the male gametophyte, because from pollen grain the male gamete will arise. How it will arise, we will see when we will study fertilization. Okay, when we will study fertilization. And this is, as we know, this is a two cell stage, right? Two cell, one cell up, one cell down, right? Upper one, bigger one, vegetative cell or tube cell, lower one, generative cells. And in 60% cases, this is the angiosperms, they release their pollen grain in 2 cell stage. In 40%, they show 3 cell stage. Now what will happen? We said the anther wall will break from here now. It will break from here, and the pollen grains that will come out. Okay, so this is the formation of pollen grain and microsporogenesis all together. Hope it is clear to you. Okay, hope it is clear to you. And as I said, one thing that I forgot, that tapetum, characteristic feature of tapetum layer or tapetal cells. Two things we have to keep in mind, that characters of tapetal cell, these cells. Look, you have seen that I am so much discussing about tapetum, right? Because maximum questions they are asked from this layer. Tapetum. Characters of tapetal layer or tapetum cells. One, they have thick cytoplasm. Thick cytoplasm. This is one thing that they have. Two things, they are multinucleated or binucleated. So we are able to see more than two nucleus in them. Sorry, more than one nucleus in them. And that's because of endomitosis, as we know. Okay, these two characteristic feature of tapetal cells you have to keep in mind. Thick cytoplasm, multinucleated, also one that is pyramid shape. Okay, this we should have discussed before, but I forgot, so we are telling it now. Pyramid shape. Okay, these are the functions of this layer. Okay, look, your school teachers, they also have made one separate group from the group in which I am sending this video, right? Or the classroom in Google Classroom. These are the chapters that should have been already completed, right? So these chapters I will send in the old group, that group that is created between you people and me. 9 students have joined till date. The new group, in new group I will start from the syllabus of this exam. Okay, that is from principles of inheritance and variation. Okay, in that group I will start sending video from that chapter. So this chapter, now male gamete has been formed. In next video we will see the gynoecium. We will see in gynoecium how ovule egg formation takes place, that we will see. After that we will come to the pollination, and then we will come to the fertilization process. Okay.